Will Crabtree here from Gorilla Gurus and TampaPrinter.com. Here for the third edition of the Gorilla Gurus Marketing Happy Hour. Today we're going to be doing websites and whiskey, or better, whiskey sours. I'm here today with Mr. Terry Yannick and Michael Pascas. So this is both of your guys' first time here on the podcast. So what we do is we start here, we do a couple little introductions, get to know each other a little bit better, we have a cocktail, and then we move into the lounge. So I'm going to be making some whiskey sours. Terry, give us a little bit of insight on your experience with web design.
Yeah, so I'm happy to be here. I jumped into web design on a web TV back in like 1995. You know, I was like 12 years old and exploring the internet and just writing HTML code, right? And then as technology progressed and new services became available in the market and WordPress hit the market, I really dove in head first. Worked on a couple of, custom PHP and ASP.NET packages back, in the late 2010 area, and been strictly, small to medium business WordPress development ever since. And had the opportunity to work with you on quite a few projects. Super happy to be here.
Awesome. Glad to have you as well. Michael Pascas.
Yes, sir.
How about yourself, sir?
Well, I mean, I've done marketing for over a decade. Used to be more guerrilla marketing, actually, when I worked for a physicians group. And then from there, I started into the digital marketing world. That's where everything was going, right? So I love putting together processes and strategies and figuring out, the consumer want and things like that. And one of the things that, we use to get our message across to people are our websites, right? It's where they get to know us before they get to know us.
Right. So Mr. Terry Yannick does not drink, so we're giving him a virgin soda and sour here.
Thank you for.
If you want a little bit more sour in there, let me know. Just give you a little flavor. I don't have any limes for you. Sorry.
I think the official word now is mocktail. I think it's
mocktail.
I think what it is.
There you go.
Yeah.
I hate hearing it, but I'll take it.
Do you like hearing virgin?
I prefer virgin.
Or near beer.
Yeah, so I like virgin because it's almost like fun for me to challenge somebody to make fun of me for it, right? Like, go ahead, because I'm going to fire right back, and it's something that I enjoy to do, right? So I'm like, yeah, call it virgin, make fun of it, do your thing. My favorite drink when I did drink, and I'm going to say it on video, it's fine, was Smirnoff Ice. It was delicious, right? Like,
Smirnoff Ice was delicious, and you know what else was good? Zima. Zima was not bad.
Now, did you ever put a Jolly Rancher in the Zima? Is that your era?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh
okay.
yeah.
Good.
So we do it stirred style because the shake is just too much, it's too crazy loud. So we do them stirred style. We kind of pour them like martinis.
Well, none of us are James Bond here either, so it's all right. I'm okay with a stir. You put a little twist on it,
Yeah. So these are going to be pretty heavy, Mike. I think we're going to have to finish one before we go into the other room.
I thought that was the plan anyway.
And I have never actually made a whiskey sour before, so we will see how this is.
Now, did you ever bartend, Will?
I have never been a bartender, no. Outside of just doing it for fun.
Yeah.
I have the cocktails that I drink, that I like, that I make at home, and I think I'm better at making them than most places that I go to. But my repertoire is basically old fashions and martinis.
Your jiggering skills are pretty on point. So there you go. Cheers.
How is that?
Sour.
It's sour?
No, it's good.
Good?
Actually, I was a little apprehensive about.
Well, it's really good whiskey. So,
it is.
When you have a really good whiskey, it's kind of hard to fuck it up.
I don't think I've ever put a sour into a really good whiskey. Maybe a drop of water or something like that. But this would be my first sour experience with quality whiskey. But I'm not mad at it. It's good.
We've established that I'm bougie. I won't drink Rock Cut. I'm not drinking some fucking Jack Daniels up in here. You gotta have something good for me.
That's not. I don't know what you have about Jack Daniels. That's just rock star stuff right there, man. I don't know. I don't know what to do without him.
I mean, it's pretty much made from like the sweat of Charlie Sheen, right? Like that's its intent and purpose, is to just be like full go.
Yeah. I mean, it's like drinking what's the really shitty vodka, like Smirnoff. Right. we were talking about Smirnoff vodka. It's like, all right.
But it's what it is within itself is it's so unique though. I don't know how you guys don't like it. Like it's
and Smirnoff, if you ever want to sponsor this podcast, I will happily retract that comment.
This is delicious.
Jack Daniels as well.
With a smile on your face. You know how he died? by the way?
Who?
Jack Daniels? Like,
No.
yeah. His nephew, he didn't have kids. His nephew took over the business. He forgot the combination to his safe. Got pissed off because he thought his nephew changed it. Ended up kicking the safe, breaking his toe, getting friggin' sepsis and dies. Like, you invent one of the greatest whiskeys ever, and then you die from sepsis.
That's
so
rough.
if ever there's been a how did he die story,
There it is.
and you put it just together with the name and the brand, that one makes more sense than any other I've ever heard, right? Like, what's a more Jack Daniels thing to do than to kill yourself by kicking a safe?
I mean, maybe jumping off a roof and missing the pool.
I mean, if Jack did that, is what you're saying?
No, I'm saying that would be a more Jack Daniels thing.
You're
way
right.
to die, I think.
Yeah,
you
you're
know.
not wrong. You're not wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get a little bit back on topic here. You know, we're here to talk about websites
Oh,
and
that's
web
right,
design.
dude. Oh, I forgot, yeah.
So a little experience that I have. I've been doing. I wouldn't say I'm a web designer. I'm not a designer.
I would agree.
I have a good eye, and I can give other people direction. But I've been doing DNS management for 15 years. Been doing search engine optimization for almost 20 years. So a lot of the back end side of web design and web development, which is what you were referencing earlier, more of the engine of the website.
Yeah.
But you know, they're all important parts, and a website does play its role and is an important part of business, something that businesses do need. But we're going to dive in a little bit more into that when we get into the lounge. So, what are some recent projects that you've worked on that you've been excited about?
So I'm going to tell you the cool one that I'm working on right now is I took up scuba diving about 10 months ago, right? And absolutely fell in love with it from the first dive, with a terrible instructor in a place that nobody should get trained, right? But immediately knew I want to be underwater. So I set a goal for 2021. I want to be a dive master, meaning if you go on a boat to go out on a scuba diving trip, there's a guy on the boat who is going to tell you, right, this is where we're diving, this is what you're going to see, this is what you need to worry about, here's the procedures to get on and off the boat. The only reason I want to do that is so I don't have to pay. I don't care about making money off of it. I just want to stop paying $150 every time I go out, right?
There you go.
Makes
So
sense.
I set a goal, Dive Master by 2021. I'm working on a website right now for a guy who's he's a phenomenal instructor, phenomenal dive master. But the other part about diving professionals is they don't really make a lot of money. They don't have a lot of disposable income. So we worked out a trade, right? And this is where I get to have a lot of fun because I have more input on what we're doing. So right now I'm building out a site for him. We're hoping to launch it by the end of the week. In addition, we've gotten to work on some cool projects, right? Like a local healthcare company that really is like all encompassing when it comes to healthcare, getting to work on their site and take them from, you know, something that shouldn't have been out there, you know, live to where it's at now. We're doing much better with even bigger, you know, visions down the line.
Right.
Well, the restaurants in the area are so fun to work with, and we've gotten to work with a couple of them now. They know they're good at food and drinks, not websites.
Right.
So we get more creative control. We get, you know, to operate in our passion and vision a little bit more.
Well, one of the challenges right now with restaurants is that there's so much influx in their cost of goods that getting them to commit to a new website or a new menu is like pulling teeth.
Yep.
One of our main clients right now, we've been going down kicking that can down the road quite a bit.
And the utilization of it too has changed, right? More people are just expecting to be able to buy from you online or have it delivered or anything like that. So the utilization and the way people are using that has changed. Even you mentioned medicine. I see a lot now, a trend of especially like chiros and merging with like nurse practitioners to have a fully encompassing practice where they can have their chiro part, but also have either a medical doctor on staff or something like that, because one, it makes it easier for them for insurance stuff, but at the same time, it's kind of an all-in-one, right? Like, you know, go to one place, you kind of get taken care of.
Yep.
So one thing that I didn't do that I'm supposed to do is actually introduce you by your titles and what your roles are rather than just your name.
My title is very important to me.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be a poll, right?
Yeah,
Or a yes.
So Terry is the master web slinger, right?
Yeah,
That's your title,
yeah,
master
yeah.
web slinger. No Spider-Man puns there at all.
He was bitten by a radioactive computer.
Exactly.
And Terry is our in-house web design and web developer. But you know, we're a very liberal company, so we allow Terry to moonlight. So he does work on other websites for other people.
We appreciate that.
Mike is doing the what's the magic Mike thing, dancing on the side.
Yeah.
That's his side.
I'm not gonna tell you where I'm at, but
But Michael Paskus is our VP of Business Development. He's running our outside sales crew. A new relationship, and glad to have you on. Really excited to have you part of the team.
I'm incredibly happy to be here. I'm super excited to work with you. I love what you guys have done so far, and I see amazing opportunities for us together.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Mike, you'll pretty much do anything to close a deal, even if it means getting up on the bar. Whatever it takes. Is that the deal?
It's funny. It's how I got the job dancing in the first place.
Is that how you got the job here? Is what I'm wondering now. Is that how you landed this gig?
I threw $1 in his G-string.
Yeah.
I have no shame here.
Again, 2021 liberal.
Yeah, right.
We're accepting of it, man. It's all good.
It's the business circle of life, my friend. You know?
Oh, jeez.
A little quid pro quo, you know?
Yeah, for sure. So I think we need to refresh before we go to the lounge.
Yeah.
So we'll do that really quick. So, Mike, give me some of the challenges that you've encountered with web design in general. So clients that have websites or clients that don't have websites, and what that looks like for a new business.
Well, I would say the first challenge is explaining to people that they are important, but at the same time, they're important with the right tools, right? There's a huge lack of information. Digital marketing, SEO is still a very ambiguous service to this day. There's so many levels of SEO and just so much involved. A lot of people don't understand how complicated a website is nowadays, right? And all the different things that are involved in not just making it work, but making it work effectively. It's not just a thing that you have anymore, right? It's a marketing tool. So I always equate it to building a car without an engine. If you don't have the right stuff, then you just have a flashy car that just sits there, right? So, but it is a tool. It is a tool to market your business, to be able to get yourself out there for people to meet you before they meet you or learn about you. And nowadays, perception's reality, so we see it that way. I mean, there's just so many aspects to it that as consultants, we have to make sure that we're one, educated ourselves, right? And that is a constant thing. Like there's not a day that goes by that I don't consistently look for new information, things like that. And then again, just explaining what it is what kind of website do you need? What are, like, when somebody says I need a website, the first question is, well, why? What do you need it for? Because if you don't have that question answered, then it's you're kind of wasting your time, right? Like it's like, okay, well, I need a website. It's like, I need a car. Well, what kind of car do you need? Are you trying to haul shit? Do you need a pickup truck, or do you need a little get around vehicle? So there's that part of it too. So just general consumer education is I think is the first forefront of that. And everything that we do, we try to make sure that we take this very consultative process and truly put something together that's not just going to be something that they have, but something that's going to be had and affected. So,
well, on that note, let's move to the lounge, and we'll actually start talking some business.
There it is.
So I think you were making some really great points, and that's really kind of the whole point of this webinar, and talking about, do you need a website? Why do you need a website? One of the biggest things that I preach and that I try to explain to people is, if you build it, they will not come. Building a website is not going to get you business. Period. Just
because you write a book doesn't mean somebody's going to read it. They can't.
Great analogy. Great analogy.
I'm actually working on a coffee table book full of them. I got a bunch.
I know a guy that can print those for you.
And I can build a website so you can offer them online.
There you go.
Yeah. Full circle.
But why do you need a website, and what do you need that website to do, and what purpose does it serve? Websites are very, very important for businesses. It adds validity to the business. There's a lot of other things that encompass being around a website, but a lot of businesses think that's the first thing that they need. It's not necessarily the first thing that you need. And when you have a budget and a finite budget to get from A to B to start getting business, is really that what you should be spending your money on, is building a website or doing something else. And Terry, being the web guy, and before you worked for us, you were slanging websites. You still slang websites on the side. So I want to hear your 2 cents on this, and what you think about, A, just websites in general and why they're needed and who needs them. And then B, if somebody comes to you and says, I need a website, but you don't think they need a website, what does that look like?
So I don't know that I've ever experienced a business or identity, a personality that is attempting to make revenue from their name that doesn't need a website to some degree, right? And when we talk about you need a website, then the question becomes, what are you going to do with it, right? What's your purpose? So I think everybody needs a website. That's my belief. But we have to go deeper on that question, right? So the first question we ask is why, right? And everybody answers the question entirely wrong. The first time you ask them, nobody tells you why they do what they do. They tell you what they do. They tell you how they do it. They tell you they need to make money. Obviously, right? That's why we're here.
We want to make money.
That's why we're here.
That's right. Yeah.
Except for the nonprofits that I've gotten to work with, there's a few of them,
They still
right?
need to make money, though.
But they still need to make money.
100%.
They got to generate revenue. Well, there's a difference between making money and generating revenue.
So taking dollars in, right? Everybody's got to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the first things that I do with all my clients, Simon Sinek has a great video. It's all over YouTube, and I can't remember if it's a TED Talk or just a video that he did where he asked this question. He describes how Apple went about communicating with their customer, right? And one of the things that Steve Jobs was actually most cutting edge at was communicating with his customer and going deeper, right? So Apple's is like, we want to change the world, right? And now everybody says it. If you go to the local cross knitting shop where they sell the yarn and needles, we want to change the world. Yeah, everybody. It's the cute buzzword of the day.
I've actually never been there, so I don't know, but I believe you.
I stop by every Tuesday. So
That's his other hobby.
that's my other hobby, right? So everybody wants to change the world, but really, why do you do what you do? What makes you different than, Gorilla Gurus has the backbone of TampaPrinter.com, right? How many printers are in Tampa? Why are you different?
Right. There's so many printers.
Competition everywhere.
There's competition everywhere.
Right.
And you look at even the big guys are in town, right?
Mm-hmm.
FedEx, Kinko's,
Yeah.
companies like Minuteman Press, right? Like all these nationwide, recognized names are here. Why are you different? What is it?
It's just turning into an interview for Tampa Printer.
No. I'm just saying it's just a question.
The big dogs. I used to
Yeah.
do talks all the time for doctors and lawyers groups and stuff like that. And the question I got every single time was, how do we compete with the big guys?
Yeah, you don't.
Right.
First of all, you don't.
Thank you. Yes.
You stop, right? Get out of the David and Goliath game.
Try it. Yeah. Stop trying.
Yeah. Go be the best David in town, right? Because people by nature want to work with local businesses,
Yes.
right?
Especially now. I mean, after the last year, it's a huge push.
Exactly. So you start to get deep into this question of why do you do what you do, and you find out what separates you from your competition. Now, once you know that, now you can start to present information to the customer that is going to be of value to them, right? And get back to the point of taking their dollars, right? In exchange for whatever it is you do, of course. So everybody needs a website. Everybody does not need the same website, right? And through years, I'll go a little bit deeper here into the technology, right? So people often ask me, why do you build on WordPress? It's so archaic and this and that. It's not. WordPress is one of the most supported, updated, platforms on the internet entirely.
It's just
right?
a pain in the ass. Like if you're not a web developer, it's hard to do it yourself.
Unless you're, and Will and I have done this, right? So Will came to me, wants to do Gorilla Gurus. I sit down with everybody over at Platt, right? A couple years ago, and we kind of identify what we need to do. Why Gorilla Gurus? Why would you come here? Why would you work with us, right? And we dial that in, and then we get to building a website. And then we sat down, a room full of people, and I put the website up on a big screen and logged into the back end of the site, right, into the dashboard. I was like, all right, guys, here's how you use WordPress, and walked them through it in 2 hours, right? And next thing I know, Will's making all kinds of changes to the website, right? And it's awesome to see, right? Because I can walk a client through. You can take your website over.
Right.
We don't. That's one thing in this space that irks me is monthly maintenance subscriptions or whatever you want to call it.
Right.
It's not that hard.
Well, and just for the record, Gorilla Gurus offers monthly subscriptions, but we also offer the training class. And everything that we do build, if we build websites, we build it on WordPress. And ultimately, we don't want to maintain somebody's website. We want you to maintain it. We want the customer to be able to maintain it. We want to empower the customer to be able to manage. If they want to go change an image, they need to go update something, they should be able to log in and do that. And that's the beauty and the power of WordPress, is that it really is, there is coding and there is customized stuff and there are widgets and all kinds of crazy stuff that do take an upper level person that knows what they're doing to do, but the remedial, easy to do things, anybody that can point and click a mouse should and could be able to make those changes.
Well, that's why I love our approach too. Like anybody that sits down with us in a meeting, it's never a sales meeting. It's a true consultation, right?
Right.
It is an educative consultation. I tell people all the time, anybody that has a meeting with us, that meeting should be something that somebody's willing to pay for, okay? Because there are people out there that do this and get paid. We're doing it for free because we want to share the education and hopefully that we find that it's a good fit for each other. But there's no secrets here. Like, we have no problem giving away the farm, giving away all the education. We exist for two very simple reasons: time and knowledge. And a business owner either doesn't have both or one or the other or whatever the case is. If they want us to do it, we can do it. But if they can, by all means, we're here to support, advise, and assist. We're always going to advise. Our level of assistance is completely up to you.
Right.
And going back to, right, Gorilla Gurus offers monthly maintenance.
Right.
I think there's a better way to say that, right? And I don't know what the better way is, but I can say it with a lot of words, which is that it's not just monthly maintenance. There are literally marketing companies here that will tell you, we're going to maintain your website for you for $199 a month. What does that entail? When you hear that, what does that entail? Literally what they're doing is they're going to the plugins tab
and updating.
They're hitting select all and update from bulk actions and apply.
Yeah,
right?
that we charge $19 a month for.
Okay, that's a fair price. Right?
Or the backup or speed optimization and stuff like that. It's like
all of that stuff is built in.
It's already done.
It already happens. Yeah. So when I talk about monthly is adding new content to the site, right? Hopefully your business is growing and evolving. You're bringing in new products, new services, new talent, whatever the case may be, right? New media, all this stuff. Well, how are you going to get it up there? And what it does come down to is you either have time or you don't, right? So working
or the patience for it,
or the patience, which in again that reinforces what Will and I had a one-on-one about Gorilla Gurus and about how we want to build websites if we're going to do it. When I met Will, he wanted nothing to do with websites, right? He had done it. You dipped your toe in it, right?
I still really don't, but you know.
Yeah.
It just takes a lot of work.
Yeah.
And most trade industries that I've worked with, they have no desire to mess with it. They're like, I just need somebody just to do it.
Right.
And we were talking about this right before we got started. So my first real client ever, right? I learned WordPress, building websites for free for a couple years, right? For local businesses. I was throwing websites up for free just so I could figure out this is how it works, right? Here's the do's and don'ts of it, and refining a process. And then this guy reaches out to me and he schools me on SEO. Absolutely. I mean, I had no clue what he was talking about.
And what did he do for a living, by the way?
He's a fishing captain. This guy's a fisherman, right? Like, he's a fisherman and he is taking me to school. I didn't get the job, right? And he needed somebody and it wasn't me. So a couple years go by, right? And I get a call at 7 a.m. and he says, my contact form's broken. Nobody can book through the website. Nobody can reach out. And I'm like, I got you, right? So he might watch this, he might not, and find out what I did. I sent a message to somebody in India at 7 a.m. It was like, I need you to fix this right now, right? and the guy did, right? So 7:22 a.m. I text him back, and it was a deprecated contact plugin. Most people wouldn't know that. They'd log into their site and they'd be like, what's wrong? Right. It was no longer a supported plugin that he was using because his developer put in something that wasn't tried and tested, right? It didn't have an established name in the market. And they went out of business. They were no longer hosting their their source code, right? Now all of a sudden your website doesn't work. So
that happens a lot. A lot of plugins, a lot of snippets, a lot of different things that you can use get deteriorated, depreciated, no longer work.
Yep.
And if you didn't sign up the right way, you're not getting notifications, and then all of a sudden something's broken on your website, right?
you don't know what it is.
You don't know what it is.
There's constant algorithmic changes for Google, right?
Oh, yeah.
I think I read that by the end of last year they were up to 6,000 algorithmic changes over 2020.
Well, and not just algorithmic, they're business practices. I was just working on a website for you at 6 a.m., right? I'm up at 4:15 this morning, and I'm getting around to knocking out some punch lists on a website we're working on. And one of the items that came up was this Google Maps plugin is broken. Can you fix it? Yeah. But not the way that they have it.
Not the way you have it.
Why is that?
Because the plugin was built, the plugin that they're using is probably however many years ago, and then the way Google Maps and Google My Business interacts has changed at least 4 times in the last 5 years. It was Google Places,
Yep.
and then it went to Google Plus,
Yep.
and then it went back to Google My Business when they depreciated Google
But
Plus.
they were still separated with maps too, right? And that's why you remember a couple of years ago they were sending out those what do you call them? These little things that you could put inside your building, like because when they really started hitting on the location tracking, anybody with an active Google My Business account got sent this little thing that you could plug in. So like if you're in a strip mall, for instance, they know exactly what store you went
Oh, you're
into.
talking about the beacons.
Yeah, the
The
beacons.
beacons, that got
And that lasted
depreciated.
like 6 months.
That got depreciated because of geofencing, actually.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Geofencing is what depreciated the beacons, and beacons were something that we're going to get a little tangent here, but beacons were something that was the primary force behind geofencing, and you could Bluetooth broadcast, and you could do all kinds of crazy stuff with these beacons because both iOS and Android had an app on the phone automatically that you had to go in, disable, and turn off to make sure that it didn't work. And people
Yeah.
got pissed off because it was very intrusive. You were able to send people a text message if they were in a certain radius of these devices, and then Google was like gung-ho about it, and they were distributing them, and then you could buy them both for iOS and for Android and do all kinds of crazy stuff. So geofencing has completely changed its landscape. It doesn't use beacons at all anymore, but that was also part of that whole transition of Google
Yeah.
Maps and how that's changed in the last several years.
And now you have the opposite, where laws have been passed, where Apple has to give you an opt-out option and all this, or actually, I'm sorry, an opt-in option for this stuff, as opposed to it being automatic. So because trying to protect people's privacy and all that, it's
Well, and then Apple went really crazy and just they're like, okay, well we're gonna swing the complete other direction
Real
And
fast.
Now
Well, because what happened with
now
Real
everybody with
fast.
ad services just
Real fast.
well, because look what happened, because of the whole thing with Cambridge Analytics and that whole situation, and they have to change, right?
Yeah.
And you're just gonna piss a lot of people off.
And this landscape, all of it is going to continue to change at this pace, if not get even faster.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So that tangent, I loved it. I'm soaking it up, right? Because we didn't even come close to the right answer, right? We talked about why it happened. Everybody, all of these large scale service providers, enterprise level service providers that we rely on, right? We use their services. They're all changing so fast, and they just expect for us to keep up.
Right.
That map was broken because Google now requires payment information and will charge you for utilizing APIs on their services. Used to be free, right?
Okay.
Here's the fun one. I have my credit card on my Google developer account, right? I was just adding all my clients to my developer account, so I didn't have to get their Gmail login and
Did you start getting
verify,
pinged?
right? So now I have like 78 projects in my library, right? Different APIs that I'm running on different websites. And one of them was getting like 10,000 hits a day, right? And it was through paid ads, but the API was having to work 10,000 times a day. And all of a sudden I have a bill. I'm like, what's going on here? What is this? Right? And it was because I had my credit card on there. It automatically by default ran my credit card of one of those projects. So now I'm like, no. We're going to log into your Gmail account. We're going to set up your developer account. We're going to put your credit card on it. And then I'll get my API, secret key and token or whatever it is that I need to plug into the website. So all these WordPress platforms, right? Avant is the one that we were working on. Divi, they all ask for a Google API, right? What's your API?
The key, yeah. I worked with Geo directory before and stuff like that, and same thing. How to deal with that key and put it into the
Here's another one: CAPTCHAs. Right,
CAPTCHA.
I am a human.
CAPTCHA.
Right, I am not a robot.
That thing where you have to like look at that one square and go, is that part of a tree?
Well, that's one of those things that's so easy to just do it, right?
Yeah.
But if you just do it, then versus, okay, I need your login, I need your Google, or you need to make me a user on your Google profile so that I can go in and I can create this for you, which those are extra steps on our side as support that does take time. And it may seem finite from somebody on the other side as a consumer or a customer, but when we have to contact you, we have to have you add us. It's hardly ever just a seamless process. It usually takes several points of contact. Then you add us, then we go in, then we do it, then you still have to verify, then the thing works. Exactly. And there's a lot of steps behind all that. And we're not even talking about writing code. We're just talking about adding a simple plugin into a website.
I saw a trend on TikTok, or one of the, TikTok had these little songs and dances and shit. But one is like this song where like it talks about my services aren't cheap because I'm not a fucking super person, and I put a lot of work into it. And one guy was like installing like a $3 outlet box, right? But he had to go through the wall and go up and all this other shit. And I just remember there's an old like story with tech, like with IT, right? A IT guy goes and fixes a computer, and he fixes it in 5 minutes, and then the owner of the company he gets a bill for like $200. And he goes, well, what the fuck, man? I just fixed this. It took you 5 minutes. Why is this $200? And he goes, you're not paying me for the amount of time it took me to fix it. You're paying me for the last 15 years of training that I've gone through and experience that I've gained to be able to fix it in 5 minutes.
But here's the problem: is we have competition. I have competition. However you want to call it.
Right.
Right. That will sell you a website for $3.99 right now.
Right.
Right. And one person comes to mind. Most of them
are being done on Wix, just FYI.
Not just that.
You can build your own website on Wix right now for $5.
Yeah, just
by all means. I didn't say that. When you go to text me about that statement, don't send it to my phone number. You know who I am.
Oh, there's a bunch of Wix developers. You are that I'm talking to. We're not talking about anybody specifically.
No. But actually, there's one that comes to mind, right?
Yeah.
Right? I'm so proud of her, right? So she's done with corporate America. I'm out, right? And goes and starts building Wix websites for people. Mm-hmm. We start to talk about it, and she needed some help on a site, and she's like, "Hey, I need help on this site." Right? It has an e-commerce element to it.
Oh, God.
Wix isn't good for that. God. Can you help me out? I got you. Right? I got you. So I jump in, I help her, and then I talk about money. Right? This is a friend. I'm not sweating it. No, you're not going to get that deal, but I'm willing to do it for her. And then she tells me what she's charging, and she's that guy. Right? So we had a talk.
Yeah.
No. You can't do this. Mm. Not just for yourself. Right.
For the industry.
For me. Think about me here, right? Like, let's be a little other-centered. Let's think about, our fellow competition and colleagues. But really, really what it is, and I can't knock her for it. Again, I cut my teeth on free websites, right?
Yeah.
So I get it,
No, absolutely. And I think and that's sort of the whole point of this whole conversation, right? There's a place for your Wix developers and people that are building Wix websites on behalf of other people. There's still value there, right? The person that we're talking about specifically, she writes the content. She does everything. She doesn't wait in the wings for nothing. She does everything from nuts to bolts and gets it all done. And she does a great job, and she's good at what she does. And she sells a website for a whole lot less than what I sell a website for.
Yep.
But what we do and what I do for a website is completely different from what she does.
Correct.
And there's value associated with all of that, and that's really the whole point is what kind of website do you need? And I agree with your statement that everybody that's in business needs a website.
There's a timeline thing.
There's a timeline,
yes.
And at what point of priority is it, and at what budget do you put the website on? Because you can roll out a $3.99 website and have a website, and then focus on some SEM and focus on Google Maps and focus on some social media, and at least have something there in the interim while you're building a book of business to be able to go back and get a true website. And when I say true website, I just mean something that's a little bit more complex
Not a Wix,
than,
yeah.
than
So
a couple landing
it's
pages.
also, like if somebody came up to you and said, I have a brand new Maserati for sale, right? And it should cost, $120,000, and they say, I'll sell it to you for, 10 grand. You're going to look at yourself and go, you're going to be a little apprehensive about it. And it's also, again, what is it for? Right? Why do you want this website? Like, can you get away with this? Like, if you're going to put that money toward SEM and some paid advertisement stuff like that, is your website good enough that somebody's going to stay? Because you don't want to pay for an advertisement, add to your bounce rate, and they're going to go with somebody else because you're going to get other Google recommendations, and now you have just paid for your competition's customer.
So I here's something I've always wondered about, and I'm going to put this out there. I think the three of us are skewed and should not share our opinion on this, right? We are so skewed because we're so close to it, right?
Okay.
We probably all have an opinion. We're willing to share it, but I don't think we should.
All right.
Because our nose is too close to the mirror.
So that's the preface right now. What you're about to say, we're not
Yeah.
going to share an opinions. Okay.
What I wonder is how many businesses lose opportunities because of poor marketing and poor websites. Because I'll tell you right
How are
now.
you going to ask me that?
Yeah, and then not be able to
question?
say
Not allow me to respond.
But here's the thing. Is
Do I need to come up with some data to come back to respond to that
100% of businesses that the three of us go to that are poorly built, poorly managed, poorly marketed, we're probably not going to do business with them. I'm not. If I go, let's go back to diving, right? I dive every other weekend. There's dive shops all around the state of Florida. If they have a website that I can't view their schedule online, I don't dive with them. It's as simple as that.
Okay, so as a consumer,
I'm talking about as a consumer.
Yeah.
Because
As
I
a
was gonna say,
consumer,
like,
right.
yeah.
As a
Yeah.
consumer,
Yeah.
If I go to the website and I can't make a reservation, or I can't see the menu, or I can't order, or I'm a big UI guy, UX, like I'm a UX architect. If
Right.
I can't navigate your website, I'm out.
You're out.
Immediately.
Not only are you
Immediately.
out, but you're not going back.
Not going
Okay?
back.
You're whatever you're searching for, you're going to buy. Let's be real. Okay?
Yeah.
You're going to buy.
Yeah.
So if they go to your site and it's shit, they can't find it, they're going to go somewhere else. And now again, that your competition has built a customer. So if they were armies, like your business and their business are armies, you are not only killing their soldiers, but adding more, to your own.
So I
Like,
just set you guys up.
Right.
You caught that, right? You knew what I was doing?
I caught
Okay,
what you're
cool.
doing. I caught what you're doing.
All right, so
and
go
I think
deeper.
I think it's different, right? It's based on the business. So if you've got skydiving, if you've got scuba diving, you got a jet ski rental.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I can't go to one of those places and make an appointment, if you don't have a website, then I'm out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because most of those places don't answer their phone anyway.
Correct.
Right. So and I don't want to talk to you. I want to go
Nobody
on your
wants
phone.
to
I want
call
to make
anymore, man.
I want to go on your website and I want to make a reservation. Right. It depends on the business. And most businesses need something.
Okay.
You better have a pretty damn special business for somebody to be able to
Let me
use
tell you something right now.
without having a good website.
Well,
You know what I mean?
and I can't think of an example right
The
now of one that
functionality
doesn't
that-
need a website.
The
Rocket-
functionality that
I'm
we're
going to
talking
insert my
about.
fucking foot in my mouth is what's really going to happen over here.
I got him. The functionality that we're talking about is what is the key stone bridge between a customer you don't have and a customer you have, right? What is the step they take to becoming a customer you have, right? So that's the first thing they need.
Right.
No $400 website's giving you that.
no,
I set all that up, right? We
Right.
talked about it a little bit earlier,
I understand.
and I knew that from the jump, right? Why can't you launch your business? Why can't you introduce yourself to the community, right, to your market, with a placeholder website? We'll call it. It's got some information on it. It's got a little about us section.
landing
It's got a
page or
picture of you
something.
and your dog, right? And then it's got a contact form. It's got a list of services. Probably doesn't have the prices because you're too scared to charge what you want and you're trying to feel out the market. This is what everybody launches with, right? Why can't you launch with that? And the reason is you do irrevocable damage to your customer base, right? To your marketing presence by sending anybody to that. So,
But
well,
you're again under the assumption that if they build that website, if they're not marketing it, then there's nobody going to that website anyway.
No, even if they are though, even if like what he's saying, like if you're using things like social media and things like that, and you're just, I mean, you're going to the rooftops and just throwing out fucking flyers with your website on and shit like that. What happens is they go to your website, and depending on your industry, especially if it's a high ticket item, they're going to judge your ability to do the business by the look of your site. Perception's reality. I use the analogy all the time. I told you just the other day. You're trying to get your kitchen remodeled, right?
Yeah.
Your cabinets, and you've got two guys show up to give you a bid. One shows up in a really nice brand new truck with stickers on it and all. It looks as good as fuck. And the other guy rolls up in an old beat up, S10, and you only have time to talk to one of them, right?
Yeah.
The typical consumer is going to talk to the guy in the nice truck because the perception is, well, if he's able to afford that truck, he must be really goddamn good at what he does, as opposed to the other guy in a beat up truck who might have years of experience or whatever the case is. Perception is reality.
So the thing is when you build that website, right? Your tier 1 sales team, when you launch a business, is your sphere of influence. It's your Facebook friends. It's your Instagram followers. It's your cousins. It's the people you used to work with. It's the guys from your wedding, right? Mm-hmm. Well, when you send them to your website and it's broken, it doesn't work, doesn't have the information that it needs, they are not going to come tell you your website's messed up. Who's going to tell you? The guy that's never done business with you before, he's never spent a penny with you. You don't care if you do business with him or not. He's going to be the one to let you know there's a problem with your stuff, right?
I would say, I don't know. I noticed too. Like I'll go to people and I'll say, "Hey, listen, your website's not great," and I'll hear the same response. I've never heard anybody complain about my website.
Yeah,
because people are not going to come into your business and go, "Man, your website's shitty," but thanks for having me. I'm sure I'm glad I'm here.
They're busy telling your competitor how good their website is.
Yeah,
right?
It's just not something that people do, right? Like,
so I think we can all agree it's got to be in the budget somewhere. It's got to be in the
it's gotta
timeline
be in there
somewhere.
At the right
I think
time.
we might disagree on the timing, right?
Right.
Which is fine because let's be honest, this is how I pay my truck payment, right?
Right.
So I think it's more important than anybody else in the world. I think the website, you don't need a logo. You don't need business cards, right? You look at me like I'm crazy.
You need a logo. You need a logo before you need a website.
100%.
You need a logo
100%.
before you need a website.
Before?
You need a logo. If you have a company and you have a brand, you need a logo. You don't need business cards.
It's like a mechanic that changes tires and
We'll
oil, but
compromise.
you're like, hey,
I'll only accept it. I'll only accept that because of your experience, right? I'll go to it. No.
Okay.
No, I'll defer. I'll bow my head. Right?
Branding, starting a business. Step 1, actually create a legal business. You have a company name,
Okay,
right?
yeah,
Legal
yeah.
standing,
And if your
right?
legal business is not the same as what you're actually branding, then you have a DBA.
Correct. Yeah,
right?
yeah. We can go
And then
deep.
step 3 is a fucking logo.
And GMB.
And if
Like,
you don't have those 3 things, then you don't have a business. Go away.
Because nobody has anything to associate you with. As human beings, we're drawn to symbolism. That's why we have symbols for fucking everything, right? So you're going to associate that with a symbol. One of the biggest companies in the world, Pepsi, right? All you don't need to see the word Pepsi. You just see that logo of theirs, and you're like, that's it.
Yeah.
Right. It doesn't matter to put up a website and not have some sort of symbol that you associate with that company. It's so easily forgettable.
I agree. When it doesn't have, what do we call it in the logo design package? Illustration, right? When it lacks illustration, it lacks rememberability, right? It doesn't imprint. However, law firms prove you wrong. Every law firm in America
but their
has the
marketing is
logo
so different.
of some serif text
Yes.
Right.
of a bunch of old dudes' last names,
But
right?
it's still a logo.
Yeah.
It's still
Okay,
a logo.
okay,
It's still
that's
a
where we're
mark.
at.
Or Saint,
All right, I
or
got
It's
you.
still
Saint,
a
or
logo.
whatever.
It's still a mark.
You are right.
have a name.
You
You
are
have a
right.
mark.
Okay.
You're not just putting Calibri up there in the header. Although it's probably Arial or fucking New Times Roman, but
Times-
there's at
Times
least
New
a
Roman,
little
yeah.
bit of design to
Their
it.
name is their logo.
Their
by
name
the
is
way.
their
And
logo.
Also, they also mostly all have a saying, right? Or have a gimmick or some
And
shit
when you get
like
outside
that.
of Tampa, attorneys' marketing is so different.
It's so different
It's so
in the
different
Northeast.
outside of the rest of the country.
And
Like
then-
Tampa is like this weird, like ambulance chaser
I would say
craziness.
Florida.
Like
I think it's Florida.
Yeah, it's Florida.
Yeah, it's Florida.
It is Florida.
Yeah.
Because I've worked when I did do medical marketing. That's who I worked with. I worked
Yeah.
with doctors, chiropractors, and lawyers.
It's a spray tan dude's headshot with his last name.
Oh, I
Well,
want to
at
say
the
a name,
top,
but I'm not going to. But man,
it-
the biggest
it'll say
fucking douche I've ever met in my
Car
life.
accident, phone number,
Ugh.
and then website, right? Like that's the marketing. Like you can almost package that and sell it.
Sure.
But the thing is that so you get your brand mark. I like that term a little better than logo because Logo, I just think illustration. I think of the gorilla. I think of the lightning bolt, right?
Right, and those are very flashy logos, but you have to have a symbol. You have to have something that represents you. And
I like the word symbol a lot better because a symbol can be a name or a saying or something.
Right. You have to have some sort of mark, something that represents you as a brand.
So that scuba diving website, right? The first thing I do, and this guy built his own website in Wix, right? And then we started to talk, and I was like, we're tearing that down.
And he knew a lot about SEO?
No. The scuba diving guy didn't know
okay.
shit.
Fishing captain was
right?
my bad. Okay, yeah.
Which makes me super happy to work with both of these guys, right? We're gonna compare them real quick. Fishing captain guy, I fixed the contact form, kind of, right? And then I get the contract, right? Writes me the biggest check I've ever seen in my life. And I'm like, oh my God, I made it, right? I call my sister who's been in this game for even longer. Funny coincidence. Will's known my sister.
I knew his sister before I knew him.
Yeah, well before he knew me, right? So my sister's been in this game for a hot minute, and was my inspiration to start like charging figures with commas, right? And by way of yelling at me for like doing a $750 landing page for somebody.
I think a lot of people start off that way, but you begin to know your value.
I respected it, right? I respected it. So I land this client, writes me my biggest check. This guy knows literally. I've sat down. I've been in networking groups and heard sales pitches, and I've even been to like seminars where they're teaching us about SEO. This dude that fishes every day knows more about SEO than anybody I've ever run into. It's crazy.
More than me?
Gives you a run for your money, bro. I'm not going to lie to you right now.
Oh, he threw you on the table earlier.
I'm not going to lie to you. He gives you a run for your money. He is good, right?
All right.
So
I feel like I could go toe to toe a little bit.
Hey, look, I'm willing to
Maybe
put
knowledge. I don't know about implementation though.
I'm willing to put you guys.
No, 100%. I tell people all the time. That's for
real word practice over here.
In the most most respectfully way possible. That's for the nerds. I could never.
Yeah.
I've got way too much ADHD to actually implement this shit. Like, I can put together processes, strategies. I know how it works, why it works, all these other things. Could I ever sit down and do it? The fuck no.
And that's where I thrive, right? Just sitting down and putting this stuff into play, But going from a guy like that, right, and who's become such an awesome client to work with over the years, right? So awesome to work with. And then you flip over to my guy who, he's just out diving every day and he's raising a baby and trying to build this business and really dive into his passion. Did you catch that? The pun?
No, I didn't. Holy shit! I'm like the king of dad jokes.
I've got a 17-year-old kid, man. I got practice, So this guy who don't know nothing. No, he's just piecing together a Wix site, and he's throwing backgrounds in there that don't fit, and you can't read the font and all this. And he's just like, "What the hell are you doing?" And I tell him, like, "We're gonna tear this down, bro. We're gonna start from one." And my very first thing that I added, the classes that he teaches, was the first thing I did. I didn't build him a homepage. I built the classes he teaches. Right? Let's dig in here. Why? That's the first step to getting money from your customers, right? We need that there right now.
Right.
We need that there first. Then we're going to build everything else. We can build around that. But that's the backbone of a business. If not, then what?
So I want to hit on something that you just talked about, which is one of the main points that I wanted to bring up in this whole fucking podcast, right? So we all agree websites are valuable, and I never wanted to discredit that, right? You got to have a website. If you're in a if you're running the business, you got to have a website. Yeah. Where it lands on the priority list is a little different, right?
And the type, that's
but what people misconstrue, and we talked about this earlier, is if you build it, they will come. If I put up a website, I'm going to start getting business, right? It's not how it works. You got to drive traffic. And one of the experiences that we've had with a couple of clients is that they get wrapped around the axle on certain things, and they want everything to be built before it gets launched, and they want everything A to Z, nuts to bolts, perfect spacing, all this crazy stuff that no one's ever going to look at, right? You build a 20-page website about pressure washing, people are going to read the first page and the contact page, and that's really it.
That's all.
That's it.
If it's not optimized, right? Like
that's it. But the point is you delay launching and putting the website out into the ether because you want all of this stuff to be perfect. You're doing yourself a disservice.
Now you're pissing away money the whole
time. You're pissing away money, but on top of that, you're pissing away time. And pissing away time is pissing away money because you're delaying the launch of your website. And if we launch the website and we're doing SEO on top of it, if we're doing SEO and you've got a 2-page website and driving traffic to a 2-page website, as long as the general information and the contact is there, driving the traffic is more important than the content of the website. Do you disagree?
No.
All right.
No. And here's the thing. So everybody, when I was out there running and gunning by myself, right, which I did for years, and it was a lot of fun. Do what I want, go where I want, live how I want, right? Write my own paycheck. Everybody else in my space did websites and SEO and SEM and hosting and business cards and flyers and t-shirts and hats and bumper stickers. You picked up what I just put down, right? Mm-hmm. They're not good at anything.
No, yeah, they're throwing shit against the wall to see what sticks.
That's it.
Right.
They're not good at anything. They're half-assing everything that they just did,
Right.
And I knew right away, right? Like, you know, I looked up SEO when the first time I heard the term in 2013, 2012, whatever it was, right? Yeah. Looked up, what's SEO? What are we talking about here? And I'm like, this is straightforward enough, right? Format your pages so they read like a book, right? We use the book analogy.
An 8th grader can read.
Yep. Format the pages so we understand the flow of content.
That was in 2013. And in 2001, 2002, you could repeat the same word on the same page over and over,
you could put
over
it in
again.
The background in
and
white text.
You would be ranked within a day.
You could put it in the background in white text with the visibility tag set to or display tag set to none.
Right.
No, that's because when the spiders crawl your site, they're not crawling the site; they're crawling the site map. They're crawling.
There was no AI then. There was no algorithms were very simple. It was just, here's a word, we'll serve for that word. Like
you might get your hosting shut off now if you do that.
Oh yeah,
it's
you pull some
bad.
shit like
It's
that,
bad
you're
news
out.
now. Yeah.
Not just that,
You're
but
getting sandboxed.
You end up competing with yourself and stuff.
Yeah.
That's why, I mean, you know, doing what we do, like within Guerrilla Gurus and stuff like that. That's why, again, that consultative approach is so important. Like I defer to experts, right? Experts that run this. I'm good at creating processes, like an algorithmic thinker, right? So what is your greatest need, right? What is your greatest wants? And let's figure out a way. And what are your goals? And then we figure out a way to put those together so that we're starting to piece right this thing together. Scalability is okay. You don't have to do everything at once. If you need to start making money, then let's go through this strategy, right? Then we'll go to this, and that's where it's important. And I find that too many people within this realm, especially digital marketing, just try to sell everything all at once.
So that approach doesn't work with everybody.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
The
work with
healthcare
everybody.
company we're working with right now, they don't need to tell us what their wants and goals are. Right? They're large. They've got infrastructure.
Oh, there's definitely things that are established.
They've got a C-level roster, right? They're going to tell us what to do, right? And that's totally cool. I think our job, my job as the web guy, is to fit myself to their needs, right? So some people need me to explain SEO to them.
But on the other side of that coin, the same client that you're talking about, they were so archaic. They were on the front. They were on the forefront, and they started doing technology in the very beginning, but they didn't keep up with it.
What did they say? 93?
Yeah. They had a website in 93.
Can we Google? When was the internet created? When Tim Berners-Lee was like literally rolling out.
I thought Al Gore invented it in like 94.
Right. So Jamie, Joe Rogan reference. Look it up. Look, there's a YouTube disc. But no, like seriously, these guys were on the cutting edge, literally cutting edge of websites. Right. Communicating with their patients directly over the internet. When he said that, my head exploded. I was like, "Oh my god,
what the hell happened? Right?
What happened? What went wrong here?"
Well, because they got caught up with, I know a guy, and then this guy will do this, and then it got passed off.
And then maybe stay busy, right?
Yeah.
Like we met with somebody not so long ago who, over the last 20 years, were incredibly successful in what they were doing. And I talk to people all the time. I've been able to do this for 30 years. I never needed any of this stuff, right? And I'm like, yeah, because you were able to do that over the last 30 years because you didn't have all these tools that your competition is now using.
And now it's a completely different landscape, and it's accelerating so much faster. We were talking about everybody changing the technology. Yeah. The technology is changing in the drop of a hat.
Yep.
Right now, everything is changing from a digital marketing landscape, and whether you're talking about SEO, social media, digital display ads, geofencing, all of it, it's all changing in time right now. Yep. Something just changed right now.
Yep.
But in the same instance, the way consumers consume and the way they engage with businesses is changing just as fast. and a new trend will come out on TikTok, and
That's
God,
it.
That's how songs are becoming.
It's that fast.
it is. It's that fast.
That's
It's
how
crazy.
songs are becoming popular now. Even old songs. Like
Yeah.
I heard a song, and my wife's kind of younger than me in 10 years, but she'll pull up something.
Robin the Cradle.
But she'll hear this like, this is great. I'm like, this is what I listened to in high school. You know what I mean? Like, what the hell? Like, but also it's that connectivity, right? Consumers expect to be connected to the business owner. They expect to have a voice. They expect to be heard, and information is expected to be had, and all of those things, right? And so, like, yeah, you're right. I mean,
So the mechanics of what we do changes in real time as we're sitting in this room. Google's rolling out some new variable in their algorithm to where this thing no longer produces that result, right? However, the one thing that doesn't change is core consumer behavior. The psychiatry of it all,
Sure.
right? The psychology that goes behind how these consumers behave, it's not really any different.
just
right?
expectations.
I will say this, and I was just talking to a friend about this at lunch. The one thing that I've noticed has changed, and this is what makes working with seasoned web designers and marketers and graphic designers, people that understand how to present to a customer or client, right? Is attention spans are getting shorter. I'm going to give that one, right?
Yeah.
Instant gratification.
So if you look at what was the backbone of WordPress when it came out, what was the reason for it? The number one use. It was for blogging.
blogging.
You guys
Yeah,
remember
it was
when
blogs.
blogging was a thing?
Yeah.
Right? And people were making, Joanne's making so much money off of her blog. I don't know
Oh my
how
God, I
she
remember
does
that,
it.
yeah.
Right? What was Joanne blogging about? Her pots and pans?
Yeah, nothing.
Right? How to season her cast iron pan to make muffins? Whatever. Right? Like all this crazy stuff. And people were looking at WordPress going, what the hell is this? How are you? What? What is going on here? Why aren't blogs around anymore?
Because there's about 7 blogs per person on Earth at this point.
So
That's actually a fact that I learned.
everybody and their mom has a blog, right? And I'm gonna say this while I'm knocking them, right? I'm not actually knocking the action
Podcasts are the new blog, by the way.
Yeah. Podcasts are the new. This is the new blog.
This
just
is
so
the
we're
new
clear,
blog.
This,
right?
yes, and they're very still, I think, very important.
I think I love technology, and there's certain things that I hold on to the old way about, right? And there's certain things that I really love what we're headed towards, right? I love blogs for the idea of this evolution of a personal diary, right? Or even as a business diary. To be able to go back and look at the growth and experiences and things like that, I think is awesome. I think it's fantastic. But blogs, what do we use blog posts now for? We use the post functionality in WordPress for
SEO.
SEO.
Right?
And the type of blog too, by the way, like that's changed because of the UI changes and the advancements in Google's AI through the UI. You can't just write a bunch of words anymore. It actually has to encompass and really answer a question or an idea, because the it's not the words, it's the idea of the blog itself. Are we getting
No, we're getting close.
We
We're
can
getting
go
close.
deep here. So
Yeah.
so when we talk about that client who got started in 93, right, who's right there with Al Gore and Tim Berners-Lee, cutting edge, what's wrong with them? Why is it in 2021 they're sitting down in a meeting with Will and Terry to talk about their website? Well, the reason is they stuck with that guy who was one of the first people in on the internet and knew how to use it and knew how to make it do cool things. And that guy actually, when WordPress came out, was like, oh, I think this is the thing. And he built a website on WordPress, and he kept trying to keep up the WordPress site. But at that point, he's so far behind the curve, right?
Right.
He's a 65-year-old running back, right, in the NFL. Like, in his heyday, he was the man. He just can't do it anymore. It's
Right.
not there. So it reinforces to me, can you build your own website? Yes.
Absolutely.
Should you build your own website?
Depends.
No.
Probably not.
No, I disagree. I don't think there's any situation. We talked about my freelancing, and we talked about what I did prior to meeting Will and working full time for another company, right? You guys ever visited my website? Pull it up on Wayback Machine, right? I'll tell you right now what my website looked like. I never had one. Reason being, I won't build my own website. I will get caught up on this section being 20 pixels too short.
Let me ask you this. Would you say that then, instead of, like, let's say you don't have the money to invest in a proper website, SEO and all
So
that
you're
stuff.
basically the worst client, is what you're saying right now. But
Yes.
but you're starting a business. You're starting out, right? You don't have the money. So you're working on social media marketing and things like that. Just having a landing page, right? An infograph, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
Dude, if
And
somebody
again,
called me,
it depends on the business. It depends if you're selling. Let's use CBD. CBD is a great new influx of things right now. They have a lot of
giant pain in the ass.
challenges like
Yeah.
e-com. They can't really sell online.
Can't
because they
advertise.
can't get credit card processing. They can't market. They can't advertise, but they have a presence online,
Yeah.
and it's all over the place. All over the place, right? So let's use them as an example. Should a CBD company have a landing page? Should they have an e-commerce website? If you have an e-commerce website and you can't sell anything online and you can't get credit card processing, why would you have an e-commerce website?
My thought would be the opposite. Like they're the ones that need a website more than anything.
I'm not saying that they don't. I'm not saying they don't. I'm working on a system right now. But that's
so here, I'll pull the curtain back, right?
Huh?
I'll pull the curtain back.
Yeah.
I'll tell you the secret.
Right.
Not everything online has to take credit card payment right here, right now. Why do you think that you have to pay for it right at the point of checkout? When you're buying something like CBD, you know what space you're in.
Right.
As a consumer, you know you're doing some sketchy shit, right? Testosterone, dick hard pills, most weight loss
Kava,
pills, Kava, right?
Kratom.
This isn't new. These non-FDA approved, kind of legal, kind of not, products have been on the internet forever, right? Do you have to use crypto to take payment? No. Here's something, I don't know why more people aren't hip to this, right? You process the purchase, right? This guy just bought 10 CBDs, whatever the fuck they are. You send him an email. Hey, Joe, you just bought 10 CBDs. You owe me $100. Here's my Zelle. I will process and complete your order. You have to give me the payment ID and send this exact dollar amount and tell me the address that it's coming from. Once you get it, now you update that order to complete, and now you send Joe his 10 CBDs.
But that's
right?
super fucking inefficient.
Yes. Yeah.
So you either have Tom, Dick, and Harry working from a fucking
here
garage.
Here we go.
Oh no, you want to get the fucking
boxing gloves
workload
on
with me?
Boxing gloves
what?
on.
You want to fight? You want to fight? Okay, hold on.
Can we superimpose the website on the video? Right? Because what I'm going to show you real quick.
I'm not saying it doesn't work. I'm not saying what you're
it might
saying
not be
doesn't
worth
work.
it, though,
I'm not
for
saying what
processing
you're saying
Bullshit.
doesn't work.
Bullshit.
I'm not saying what you're saying doesn't work.
I'm sorry.
But you're either really big and you have a whole team dedicated to nothing but processing transactions, or you have someone that's working in their fucking garage and they have nothing else better to do.
Yeah.
And as they grow, then that's all they're doing is processing payments.
Yeah.
Like that's the two scopes of what you're talking about doing.
So I'm gonna put you on a game real quick, right? Buddy of mine takes testosterone, bodybuilder, fucking meathead dude, right?
Okay.
So you go to the doctor here, you go to any of these local fucking hormone replacement companies.
Yeah, cash
Bro,
stocks.
you know how much that shit costs?
Oh, I'm sure.
That shit is expensive, right? Or you go on steroidify.com. What the fuck did he just say? Europe-based company. They don't give a shit about our laws, right?
This guy's
We're not-
screaming
we're not-
over here talking about steroids.
I say we're not sponsoring the.
No. They're not going to sponsor this pocket. Maybe they will. Shit, who knows, right? They're doing somewhere in the neighborhood of 20 million in sales a month.
That's amazing.
They're shipping around the world. They take their payments via Western Union, Bitcoin, and Zelle, right?
That's crazy.
They
And they have to have a whole team
there
doing nothing
is
but
a
processing
back
payments.
end. There is a back end person, right, who just reviews the bank account. Payment came in.
On a walkie-talkie. Go ahead and
What's the
send it.
ID? Oh, that's this guy's order, is what he told us. Yes, that payment's good, right? When you think about that, it's 30 seconds to a minute to.
So can we call them and tell them that we have credit card processing for them to eliminate that whole team?
That's aggregating. You don't ever want to do that with a credit card, but
Well, no.
after it.
No. I am working on.
becoming a merchant.
I'm not working on becoming a merchant. I've been working with several merchants to facilitate at-risk merchant processing, to be able to purchase, to be able to use credit card processing for CBD and for other things.
Yeah, somewhere in the neighborhood of like 5 to 10% with the
I was
10%
gonna say,
hold.
You're gonna pay a higher percentage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely people out there that are willing to do that. I had a guy I was talking to about a month ago, and that's been the bane of his whole existence, is the fact that he sells, like, I think the legal stuff, like Kava or something like that, where you can go, that's okay. But he also sells like the Delta 8s and the Kratom and all that shit. And he's having he can't talk about it online, because if he talks about it online, then his credit card processors are going to pull. Like,
Right.
you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
He's like, I got a guy in Atlanta, but they're also charging out the ass for everything.
Well, right.
So-
But if you're paying all of these people to process all of these payments, and you're doing all
Where's
of
the
this.
break even?
Where's the break even point? If you're
Yeah.
paying instead of 2.5%, you're paying 5% or even 7%. Western Union is
you're paying
charging
a
you
salary
fees.
and
Zell's
shit,
charging you fees, and you're paying somebody to process all this shit.
Yeah.
And then you just make it streamlined to where it's just happening automatically.
Now-
Efficiency. That's what I was talking about.
So-
And you wanted to fight over it.
So you're right. Efficiency is important, right? For the back end business.
For sure.
The back end of the business, efficiency is important, right? But do you roll the dice on the high risk credit card processing?
It can be pulled at any time, I guess. Yeah.
It can be, yeah.
Here's how high risk credit card processing works, right? The ethics of it. This is fun. I never knew this. I have a friend who had a porn business, right? Number of years. All of a sudden, one day, credit card processing shut off. Get a call on Tuesday night, turning your credit card processing off tomorrow. What the fuck?
You have to
Why?
use a distributor. Did you know
Why?
that?
Not really. So what it was is some guys at the bank, right? I'm not going to name the bank. They will sue the shit out of me. Some
And
guys
me,
at the
don't say
bank,
it.
huh?
I said, and me, don't say it.
I'm not gonna expose
Is it
Gorilla
the one?
Gurus.
No.
So what happens is this bank's ethics board gets together and they get into a pissing match, right? Bunch of old white guys. Who's the most ethical? I'll show you how ethical I am. We can't sell bullets anymore. Oh yeah, Bob? I'll show you how ethical I am. No more penetrating a woman if all 4 of her limbs are tied up. Oh shit. Yeah, let's go with that. Boom. Now what happens? All the ISPs, the people between the bank and the merchant, right? Get
Internet
contacted.
service providers. ISP is Internet Service Provider for those of you at home.
No. ISP has a different acronym in the processing world.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, think of Internet Service Provider though. Same game, right? ISP is who you call when you need a gateway to process your payments through, and you're not on WordPress, who has one built in.
No, you've got your merchant and then you have your gateway. And then you have your APIs between the two. And there's basically you have like 3 banks that control all of the credit card processing
For high risk.
for everything.
Okay.
Period.
Okay.
And then everything trickles down into your Bank of America's, Chase's.
Right.
You basically have 3 core
Central bank.
central banks that
Yeah.
deal with all credit card processing. And that's not Visa, MasterCard. That's on the opposite side of it.
Right,
And
right.
then you have your gateways, which are what allows you to process online. And then some of them have their own, which they don't have APIs. And I've been doing this one a long time.
So in the high risk world, you have companies like CC Bill, SegPay, Epoch, Net Billing.
Right.
They're called ISPs. They own the gateways.
Mm.
So you send your payment to them, they process the card, right? They get the money from the bank, they send you your money, right? So what happens is these companies get an email on Monday morning that says, "Hey, Bob said no more of this kind of porn. Take it all down." And these companies go, "What? What do you mean?" And that's part of this whole thing, right? That goes into all this e-commerce and doing business with the internet involved. This shit changes so fast.
Yeah.
Where you might not be affected by a situation like that or by some new legislation or a bank's new guidelines, in regards to kava or kratom or CBD or whatever, caffeine pills, who knows, whatever it is. But that stuff changing so quick, are there some situations where it pays to just not have to worry about that?
Yeah, I mean, because
Fair.
when they do
Imagine
change,
a $20 million a month company being told overnight, you can no longer do business.
when it changes so fast.
Right.
You don't get you don't get an update, and you go to process your stuff the next day, and you're like, oh shit, they're not. I can't take payments.
We got down a rabbit hole.
We did go down a rabbit hole. So real quick, I'm gonna wrap this up.
Yeah.
So website design. Hey, it's important to have a website.
Yeah.
If you've got a business and you're starting a business, you do need a website. You need a web presence. But just
I like that
building
web presence,
just
by the
building a
way.
website is not going to get you business. You have to be driving traffic to it.
Yeah.
Building a website without SEO in mind is like building a car without an engine, right?
Yeah.
Gorilla Gurus. The owner of Gorilla Gurus, I hate building websites. I hate doing the work. I hate being in the middle of it. It is the last thing that we're going to sell you unless you really have a shitty website or you want us to do SEO. We'll consult with you. We'll tell you what to do. We'll help you along the way. You can build a shitty $4.99 Wix website with somebody else, but you're probably going to come back to us to build a real website. We're not cheap when it comes to web design, but again, that's the last thing that we want to be doing with you. And we hope that you already have a website, and if you don't, we'll make sure that you do. And that's really the main thing.
So on that point, if it's not very cheap, it's not just because we don't want to do it. Not many other places can sit you down with 3 people who have roughly 50 years of experience building websites. Right. And working with e-commerce from all angles, not just e-commerce.
E-commerce, search
having an
engine
internet
optimization.
presence.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I've been selling online for a long time. I've been doing e-commerce for a long time, and it's not just about e-commerce. It's also about the workflow on the back end of that. You can take an order and you can process a credit card. What happens with that order when it's done? How do you ship that order? What's the logistics behind all of that? And that's the ideal. I've been dealing with this shit in the most variable industry that you could possibly think of. So fine tuning that into a simple product is way simple and easy as far as I'm concerned. But again, like. That's not our flagship product. It's not what we want to be doing. If
it's
you,
a tool in the tool belt.
It's a tool in the tool belt.
Like that's it. We don't sell websites. It's a marketing tool, right?
Did you guys just call me a tool?
Yeah, we did. You are a tool, Terry.
Does
it's
it take
okay.
a tool to make a tool? No,
we love tools, though.
Yeah. No, I got like 4 hammers at home. It's great. But actually, I feel like it's our job, our responsibility to change the idea and the premise of what a website is now.
Right. Well, and then again, the whole point of this is what kind of website do you need, right? Like if you are a landscaper, you don't need e-commerce. You don't need to be selling anything
100%.
online.
Yes.
Like if you are you're rolling out a new makeup line, you do need e-commerce. You do need to be selling online. But depending on the product or the service that you're offering depends on the website that you need, and then that becomes scalable and the price becomes scalable based on what you actually need.
Yep.
And that's the whole point of and the difference between working with us is we're going to find out what you need. So think about what you need, think about what your business needs to do, and we'll help you in that journey.
Finding the best strategy, right? Like
exactly.
I at the end of the day, it is my goal to make sure that we are not selling you something. I've never sold anything. I simply advise and say, hey, we can do this. Is this something? This is what I think that was going to be your best course of action. This is going to help you accomplish what you're looking to accomplish. Do you agree?
I agree. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us on the Guerrilla Gurus Happy Hour, Marketing Happy Hour. And this was a great one. I look forward to having you both on again. And for those of you guys at home, have a great one, and we'll see you next time.
Later.
All right, thank you. I'll be here tomorrow.